Well, howdy,
Hey.
everyone.
Hi.
Hey, hi.
Hey.
I hope you guys answered in your car.
They're
Or
like,
wherever
hey.
you're listening to this. Yeah, hey. How's everyone doing this week? Just check in just for a second. Even answer, And if it's not something good, how can we change that?
I often start with just one deep breath.
Yeah, that's a good piece of advice. I feel like I don't even have anything to add to that.
Yeah. But something happened this week where
Now let's get to the episode.
it made us have like a deeper conversation.
Yes, and don't we love that? Like, as people who podcast, when something happens in our lives, it really does spark some deep reflection and then conversation that we can translate to the pod.
Yeah.
It's just glorious.
So something happened this week where I feel like this happens a lot. And the message I took away from it was that I could be more objective in life. And Madison here really helps me with that.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's explain.
Let's explain what happened.
Give them the example.
Sure. We got a DM from a guy that used to be in our life.
Yes.
And him and Mad had, let's say, a little chemistry. Okay.
Like,
and
it could have happened.
It could have.
Yes.
And that's pretty rare because I feel like that Mad doesn't really like open that door up often.
No.
So then when, whatever happened.
The opportunity presented itself, and it's just, it seemed to flow until
whatever happens, right? Things don't go as they probably should have, and that's fine. So here we are, and this person is not in our life, but they will do a lap every once in a while. You know what I mean by that?
We'll say.
Yeah. They wave, they give the nice hello.
Maybe a honk.
We love a good honk, but then they continue driving by.
That's
and
right.
It's always puzzling, right? Like when this happened, we were together and it's our joint account. And I'm like, well, would you look at this? And I show her and she gets a good laugh out of it. And I'm like, well, what does this even mean? Like, why even continue to reach out and do those drive-bys? And Mad, you had some like really grounded feedback there.
Well, so I can even get explicit in this because I feel like this isn't giving it anything away.
Go.
So this guy messaged us and said, it was a photo that I had posted of myself after a run. And he said, miss you, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he did. It's a fucking drive-by.
So
was I wrong?
Yeah, that's a massive drive-by. Like, he's in a big truck driving by, And I hadn't looked at the DMs since I had posted that photo. And Tess goes, so-and-so messaged us. And I was like, oh, what'd he say? And she was like, well, he replied to the photo of you and said, miss you. And then she looked over at me and I laughed. And
she does one of these always.
Yeah.
She like
put my hand up in the air and just like scoffed a little.
Oh, whatever.
And then she was like, well, what do you think that means? Like, why did he do that? And I was like, honestly, he's probably just fighting with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
So that was
And what I appreciated about that was that Madison removed herself from the equation. It wasn't like he came around and gave her the old honk because he wants to open that line of communication back up or that he's interested in her. And like, she didn't get excited at all, which I thought was really great.
Well,
because you don't need to get excited because what you've seen thus far is that you shouldn't get excited by this.
Right. And I also, and Tess and I were talking about this too, is like the greater picture of this is that I really try not to take things personally. And I think that him doing that was not because partly had to do maybe because he thought I looked good in the photo, but like I don't get any sense of validation from that because I know he's probably just fighting with his girlfriend or needs attention or whatever it may be, and that's why he messaged me. Like, it really doesn't have anything to do with me. It's like he's needing attention or maybe some validation from me of like, oh, I miss you too.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, oh, on top of that, you looked cute. You know?
And so that's my point is like your response to this really like it showed me how to do things in the future. Now, not that I plan on being single and like an old coming back, but I'm just saying it just shows me like a lot of times what people say and do to you don't really have to have some effect on you. Like you can just be like, that's probably what's going on and that's funny. Moving on.
Yeah. It's really
But I
is
think it's interesting.
Yeah, taking things personally is like a very big life lesson. Like I take that in account every single day almost.
Yeah, it's outside of any type of like flirting or, you know, partnership type situation. I feel like I have tried now more than ever to be more objective with things because as we all know, we don't know what's going on for people behind the scenes. And there's a lot of times where like if I drop the ball on something, it's because I have really important, really heavy things going on in my life. Or like think about your worst days, how reactive you can be. And like that's why people get road rage.
Yeah, so true. Or like on my worst days when I'm feeling like I'm very vulnerable and I need to like kind of be like a shell for myself. And I'm not as talkative some days. People will be like passive aggressive, bitch. She doesn't like me because
Judging
she's not talking.
me.
I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I'm just having a really bad day and I feel insecure and that's why I'm not speaking to you.
Yeah.
Like that's literally why.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that we encounter that on a daily basis because when we're working or we're teaching classes in a studio, like we encounter so many people during the day and we get all of their moods. And it's like across the board of moods. And so instead of thinking, okay, this woman's looking at me like in this rude way, like I don't know what's even going on in her life.
Yeah.
Maybe she doesn't like me, true, but odds are it's not that. Like that's not the sole reason.
Right.
So it's a good lesson.
I think, yeah, specifically in regards to, I think, old me before I was in like my very secure, happy relationship. Like if someone, actually this did happen to me. There was this guy I was into and he would do a lap and I'm like, what the fuck does he want? Like, are we doing this again?
Yes, I remember this.
And I would get all like rowdy. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
For what? And then gone again.
Right.
Gone again.
Gone again. Dude, have anyone seen The Nightmare Before Christmas? And it's like the doctor says that, right?
Yeah.
It's like, gone again. I've never even seen that movie. I just know that line.
Wait, what?
I don't know. I tried watching it and it's just not for me. I don't know why. I'll watch
Quotes
it
a
again
movie
this
she's
year.
never seen.
Yeah, exactly. So typical.
Oh,
my
but
God.
yeah, I don't know. That's something that just I find always laughable. The laps.
Yes, it is laughable. And and even this thing of like objectivity and not taking things personally, when Tess said this to me, like after this situation had happened, I feel like I don't really notice that I do that.
That you're more objective with things?
Yeah. And I don't I was like, well, why? Like where do I get that?
I don't know. Okay. I think for you in the realm of men and dating and all that, you always seem to like just be kind of hands off and let things ebb and flow. In other situations, I've seen you not be as objective. Yes. Like in a work situation, you know, I think that
so true.
You may have some guards up in the realm of like dating and whatever, and not that that's a bad thing, but I think it's easier for you to be like pretty uninvolved there. You go do your thing versus at work, you feel more vulnerable because you really want to like be well received and you want to be good at your job. So you're more invested in it. And I think that if something doesn't go as you would hope, then you get a little bit more riled up by it. But in this circumstance, I think with guys and with dating, I've always turned to you when I was in like the dating phase. Yes. Because I was like, for one, guys, I was out of the game for many years because I was like basically wifed up. So I like didn't know how to reemerge into the dating world. And you were like, you're cool. You just play it cool. And you just let them come in and out if they're going to come in and out.
Like, show me, you know? Like, I don't like hidden messages, weird, like, miss you out of the blue. Like,
well, okay. On this note, can we talk about this for a second? I don't know why this is going into the dating realm, but I feel like we need to go here for a second.
Cares?
Yeah. Something that I saw that I feel like is so true because a lot of us can get wrapped up in this is not playing into how they're interacting with you on a social media level. This happens a lot where like he's going to message her, right? And he's going to be like, miss you. Or he might like heart a picture or do like heart eyes or something so fucking stupid. Yes. And what are you supposed to do? Get excited about that? Like, where is the actual beef here? Like, show me where the money is.
Absolutely.
Like, where are we going with this?
Liking the post, message me.
Call me on the phone.
Text me. You have my fucking number.
No, I want a phone call.
You can easily say miss you over text or give me a phone call. Yeah.
Phone call. What are you up to these days? How are you? Like a real interaction.
Care because that person was probably saying miss you just because it's
Wants,
for him.
yes.
Yes.
So I think it's
Dude.
just a good life lesson of if someone's watching your Instagram stories, don't think of it as like, oh, they're still interested, they care. No, they're probably sitting on the toilet bored and you just happen to have posted a story and they're looking at
Right.
everybody's story.
Right.
Like, don't get too excited over it.
That's right.
And so be more like Madison and myself
And
these
it
days,
is,
you know?
well, then I also will say that it is okay to get excited about it, like initially, but then I don't think you really need to even hold on to that. You know, like
I just
why?
think it's worth a laugh, like a giggle of like, look
Right.
at that.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, if people were to get excited, like, that's also okay. Because you can still be like, oh, that's cool. And then I move on. You know?
I
It's
understand
like,
what you're saying.
I'm over that. Like, that was just kind of like, as we were saying, a drive-by. Like, it's just an interaction that lasts for a second. And I'm like, all right, what's next?
I mean, it's nice on the ego, right? Like
Yeah.
to know that someone that you were at one point interested in still like thinks highly of you and says miss you and has the courage to reach out in a very small way. Like
Right.
I mean, it's nice. I'm not saying like he shouldn't have done that.
Totally. It is nice.
But I always just question the intention.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I just
As we
overthink
do.
it. And you're like, whatever, who cares? If he really wanted to be in my life, he'd make an effort.
I do think that, yes.
And you should.
Yeah,
because that's true.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, branching into the other topic we wanted to talk about today, did you plan to wear those?
Yeah, and then I got hot.
Oh, okay. Is happiness. Like, we just wanted to talk about happiness. And I think like that's kind of like a good transition because, for example, that miss you is like an external source potentially of happiness, you know?
Yep.
And so I was inspired to talk about happiness. I mean, obviously, I think everyone thinks about happiness to some degree every single day. And I was listening to a podcast recently about happiness and how a lot of people in society are always chasing it. And we can't really seem to have long lasting happiness. Like we're always searching for it. And it was just going into the deeper of like, why is that? And he was talking about intrinsic and extrinsic sources. So internal, external.
Keep going. Sorry. Oh my God. I
Dude,
scared
I
Rosie.
thought it was blacked.
Yeah, that's why I
my
looked.
God, I thought the
I don't know.
recording.
It's okay.
We haven't charged our Zoom, the recording device, in a little bit, so we're trying to make this quick. So anyway, he's talking about internal and external sources of happiness and how essentially it landed on internal sources of happiness is longer lasting.
Okay.
Which I think makes sense to me.
But what is an internal form or source of
Like
happiness?
he was just saying through self-reflection, for example, maybe like finding your passion in life and like reassessing your values and holding on to those and then moving forward through life with those intact, that you can have long-lasting happiness.
Okay. I'm going to counter this because
Okay.
I think that makes for not only good conversation, but I also am kind of in this standpoint where I'm like, So internal happiness sources from you finding your passion in life and
I mean,
reevaluating your values.
No, that's not his only
Okay.
stance. It's not like you need to find your passion, because I think
a lot of people go through their entire life not knowing what they're passionate about.
I think so too, but I think this is like can even go into a healthier debate of like everyone does find their passion to a certain extent. It could be my passion is petting dogs. Like it doesn't have to be like career wise, you know? Like
No,
my
I
passion
don't.
is like
Yes.
hiking every Saturday or like tending to my children.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then I'm like, to that degree, I could see that.
Yeah, but okay, I understand what you're saying, but I think when I initially heard it, I kind of like went on the wait, hold on moment because it seems like not a simple thing, right? It's not
Oh yeah, it's definitely not.
like, oh, well, to be happy, you just got to find your purpose and you got to reevaluate your values. Like, well, hell, that takes sometimes a lot of time to figure that out.
Yeah, agreed. But then I think to that, I also love like a healthy debate. Like I think there needs to be more of it. Like
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people like don't do that. But I like when people disagree sometimes. I'm like, all right, well, let's talk it out.
Let's go. Yeah.
Is that okay? Wait, fuck. Let me get my train of thought here. Oh well, so then I counter that, and I think that finding long lasting happiness, like, why does it have to be convenient or easy? You know, like maybe as you're working towards finding your passion for like lifelong happiness, you can call upon external sources to make you happy in the moment, like my morning coffee or petting the dog that I'm sitting or hanging out with my friends. Like those are all great and they're fleeting because I can't really control that too much. But then I work on the inside, the internal.
Yeah. Okay.
Alongside.
Yes. I don't have anything to rebuttal there.
Yes.
It's just more so. I mean, yeah, okay, I agree with that. I'm trying to figure out how I would word it though, where it's like,
which is okay. And we can even circle back to it. It was just initially a TED Talk. I'm not saying I agree with it because I also think when this man was saying this and he was talking about how, so basically his story was like he had the Fortune 500 company and he had the cool wife and like everything, a great child, the house, the money, and like none of that really, like, it made him feel happy in the moment, but then all of a sudden he was just felt like left, like being like, well, what now, you know,
Okay.
like what am I doing now? And so he called upon like all of his resources to, which I thought was cool, is that he like, I don't know if he gave a survey or what kind of form it was in, but he had people in his life like kind of audit him in a way, and like because he needed some objective opinion of like, what do you think I'm good at? So his TED Talk honestly was very career focused, and like that is his source of happiness because every single day he gets to be an executive coach or whatever it was that he's doing, and it's so fulfilling to him.
okay.
So then it got me thinking of like, okay, well then what is happiness? Obviously it's very individual. So what is happiness like to us?
Yeah.
And like that was like the broader theme that I wanted to bring to this table. But his was definitely very career focused. But I did like that he asked like, I don't know, 50 of his friend or peers, which like, wow, okay, I don't even think I could ask 50 people that know me well enough. But he asked them like, what do you think that is my passion? Like, what am I good at that I can't see? Because he was just like in a fucking fog. And I was like, I relate to that.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I just like can't see past my own shit. And I'm like, what am I good? Like, how can I serve this world? So then he asked his closest friends, 50 of them, whatever. And they gave him like the answer
really
of like,
cool.
you're great at helping people. And then he turned that into being a life coach.
Love it.
Yeah.
Great for
I was
him.
like, that's fucking tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, what is happiness to you?
I don't know. My brother was asking me because we were talking about career and stuff. And he was just like, do you think that you're going to do this long term and all this other stuff? And I was like, to be honest, career for me is not top dog in my list of things that make me happy. Like, obviously, when I'm doing well at work and when I feel like I'm on top of my game, it brings me happiness. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I've got it going on in a sense. But I genuinely feel happiness more when I'm around my people. Like, if I had a mediocre job that was like hit or miss and I didn't feel like I offered much value in that way, I don't know. I mean, obviously you want to be valuable, like provide value to the community in your job. Like, that's important to me. But what I'm saying is I don't need to be head honcho of some organization for me to feel proud of myself. Like, I fulfill myself with my people instead.
Okay.
Like, I'm very much so a community driven, family, relationship driven person. And I would rather prioritize those things in life. Like, I told my brother, I was like, I would rather raise kids than run a Fortune 500 company, like any day. Truly.
Yeah.
Like, that is my inside. So I feel like happiness to me is more so rooted in like the people that I get to surround myself with.
Right. I like that.
Like,
That's a
not
good answer.
necessarily what we're doing or where we are. It's just more so like, who am I with?
Right. So then when you're not with those people, are you sad? Like,
Well,
are you
yeah.
not happy?
Like, I'm honestly having a really hard time these past, it's only been a week and a half and almost 2 weeks. And I swear
Yeah.
it feels like a lifetime.
Yeah. And well, so then I think about the TED Talk that we were just talking about, and like maybe because friends and relationships are extrinsic.
Yeah.
So then long lasting happiness might be an internal thing.
Yeah, I agree completely. And it's not that like I don't find moments of peace or happiness when I'm alone.
Yeah.
It's just that I am significantly happier and more motivated when I'm around my people.
Mm-hmm.
And an audiobook that we're going to talk to you about in the next episode, one that we're both listening to, it's explaining personality types, and basically it's called Your Brain on Love, and we'll talk about it more. But like it explains different personality types, and I find myself like I feel less judgmental over myself because I feel like I in some ways do fit into a certain type of category where my behavior isn't an anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
so I'm like, okay, well I'm surrounded by people who are not necessarily like me, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to my boyfriend and I was like, oh yeah, I'm good. Like, I'm just kind of like, man, like I miss having you and him around all the time. Like it's okay that you're not there, but I miss it.
Right.
And he's like, I know. And he's like, it's okay to like be sad over it. Like, it's okay to depend on each other for happiness. Like, I don't know where you're learning that that's not okay. He's like, you're afraid to like be dependent on, like, no, we are like a little family. Like, we should be dependent on each other. And my point was, I don't want to get to the point where I'm so dependent on it that I'm like in shambles without it.
Correct. Yes.
So there's the balance you have to find. But him saying that to me today really helped me like, you're right. It is okay to depend on you and on him and on my family for a sense of like, you guys are a source of happiness for me. Why wouldn't I want that?
Well, and I think that we're maybe fearful of that dependency because we think about being codependent. Like we're so 0 or 100,
Yeah.
you know, like it's either like, oh, you're so individual. You can do everything by yourself, pay for yourself, whatever it is, live by yourself, versus you need to have this person around you 24/7 to be happy. Like I've seen examples in my life where I'm like, oh my God, I don't want that. You know, but I think that that's why we're fearful of that, is because it's like, we just think of the most extreme, which is not true because you can have both.
Yeah.
So,
but it is a slippery slope. Like that slope to codependency, you hit it quick and you're like, whoa,
I know.
Here I am.
It's interesting because I've never been that way. And maybe in like friendships I have, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be necessarily with a romantic partner.
Yeah.
I think I've always been strongly bonded to at least one person. And my mom brought that to my attention years ago. She's like, it's always like, you're always really like tied up with one person, whether it's a best friend or a boyfriend or sometimes at the same time. But she's like, you're always like bound to someone. And I always would argue with her. I'm like, but that's not a bad thing for me to be tied with someone.
Right.
Like I'm not do or die without them. It's just more so like, yeah, this person and I are just, we have this bond and we support each other and we love each other and we just do life basically together. I don't understand what the problem is there.
No, I don't think that there is a problem.
Yeah. Okay. But on to you. What would your answer to that be?
Well,
what brings you happiness?
So I think that that's like a really, like I would have to like journal on that, to be honest. Like it's such a big prompt, you know?
But what's your like first response?
Well, responding even to yours of like the relationship thing, I think that that really makes sense because I feel like we have each other as like an observational study every day since we hang out all the time. And my happiness, dude, Rosie the dog I'm sitting is like so excited.
Can you guys see
to
her?
be with us? Yeah, you can. She's so cute. I'm just in love. But I was thinking, so yours is relational purposes, and mine has always been like very career or like what is my passion in life? Like that has been my MO since day one, and it makes sense to me because you've always had, for most of your life, like a boyfriend, like boyfriend to boyfriend, you know? And I'm not saying this in a bad way. It's just like is how it is because you value relationships a lot. And I haven't had that because I'm like so on the journey of like finding who I am by myself, you know? And not to say that I couldn't do that in a partnership because I think that you can, but it's just like that's the path that I took. And I think like seeing the differences there, like even when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, that's like so different from me because as I've gotten older, like relationships mean a lot more to me than they did when I was younger. So I'm like understanding that feeling, but it's like I'm so determined to find happiness on an individual level that I don't know. That's how I am.
Yeah. And that's great too. I mean, I don't want to paint the picture that I'm not looking for my own happiness within. Like, I don't put all my happiness in my relationship basket.
Yes.
Like, obviously there's a lot of other things at play that make me happy and that I engage with on a daily basis, where I'm like, yeah, exercise, taking care of myself, going on, like all of these things, hanging out with friends, calling my parents, like those are all, I mean, I guess a lot of those things do fall into relationships, but I'm fearful of painting the picture that like it's me and always my boyfriend, or me and always my best friend, and that's like my.
No, I don't think that you're
But I
painting
just
that picture, but I would say that that is, yeah, it's just as you're saying, like it's a space that you're more comfortable in.
like I feel like a lot of my confidence and my courage comes from the fact that I am rooted in safe, happy places with people. And then I can go out there and like assert myself in certain situations, or I can go out there and express myself creatively because I have love and validation from people in my
Yes.
circle. And then I'm like, okay, now look, now I
Yeah.
can go out there and post a video of me talking for however many minutes with my best friend about God knows what, you know?
Yes.
So I don't know. I think that I'm comfortable in a partnership because of that love and validation. And like I don't know. But yeah, it is hard to find a sense of individual happiness when I'm always kind of thinking about like, how do I serve the group? How do I
Right.
serve Madison and I? How do I serve Philip and I? Like how do I do this all?
Yeah, and I don't even think we need to separate like individual happiness from like being in a relationship or friendship and being happy. Like I think it's like it's a collective happiness, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we even need to get that deep into it. And not even that our answers are right or wrong. It's just like what is happiness to us? So you don't even need to defend shit, you know? Like I don't think anyone's like thinking, oh, Tess, she can't be alone. Like
Yeah.
no. And even if they are, who even cares? But I just was thinking about it, like if I was comparing the two of us, of like it just makes like I don't know, like it gets me into a lot of trouble that I am so passionate about finding like a career or like my purpose in life, you know, because then a lot of times when I don't, like I haven't found it yet, it leaves me feeling unfulfilled. So it's like I need to have a balance of like, well, you're working towards that passion and like you have passions and you are working towards like the bigger picture, whatever that is to me.
Okay.
Every day.
Can I throw this out there that potentially you're looking for your life's purpose and whatever, maybe in the wrong area? Like you think it's going to be a career, but what if it's like a couple years from now, you have a career that's like makes you happy,
Yes.
but it's not like your quote life's purpose, and you end up volunteering, or you become part of this like bigger organization that's a nonprofit that serves people, or you become a healer, or you become like a mom. There's gonna be something maybe in your path that you don't know about yet that will fulfill you in that way, and you won't know it until you kind of look back on it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think up until this point, maybe you've focused on it being in the career realm because you've been a solo person. So you're like, well, it's probably here. Like, I need to make myself the best possible version. I need to be like a high achiever and high caliber woman and like get it all done. But like, what if that's like not actually what is supposed to be on your path? And then that's why you keep feeling like you're running in circles.
Yeah, it totally, I mean, absolutely. And I do think of that too, but I think the reason that I focus on like careers because we spend so much of our day doing that. So I'm like, I don't like to waste time. And not that like having a career that you're not passionate about is wasting time because you're still making money, you're providing for yourself and whatever else. But like, that's just like the belief system that I've had in my head for a long time. And not to say that I can't change that belief system, but that's just where it's been at.
Yeah,
And I'm totally
that's fair.
open to changing it. But yeah, I think that that's just been my MO for a long time.
Yeah. And I'm not even saying that you need to change it. Like maybe that is where your passion, your life's purpose is in a career that you're just not in at this time.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're in the space, but not in the way that you're supposed to be yet, you know?
Yes.
I think that there's a lot of ways to approach this, but So for you, happiness is,
So
recap it because I got kind of lost
I don't even think I said it. I think I
Okay.
was just saying like,
in comparison.
right. So happiness for me is,
It's
well,
really
okay, so
hard to sum it up,
it is
huh?
really hard, but
It's
so
fucked
I've
up.
been really stuck on this word recently as nourishment. And so nourishment on all levels, like whether it be my body, career, relationships, how I show up in the world, just like a nourishing energy. Like I think that attracting more of that and being that brings me happiness.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's like too broad, and maybe it is, but it's like that for me is like the intrinsic aspect of it, like the internal is like if I'm feeling nourished on all levels, food, exercise, relationships,
Yeah.
men, whatever, spirituality,
Mm-hmm.
fun, that's intrinsic to me. And if my life like has all of that, then I feel like that brings me long lasting happiness. But then I don't know if that, like I have to feel nourished for myself, you know?
Mm.
Like I can't rely on like the outside sources just to do that for me. Like I have to feel strong in the way that I'm bringing about that
Okay.
nourishment.
Okay. But then let's think about this.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that the sum of all those parts bring you the like internal happiness.
Yeah.
But if we broke it down, each one of those things are kind of external factors, right?
But then I could say that I am personally, like I have my values and what I want in my life, for example, is to be nourished. So I actively seek those out. So like it's on me.
Mm.
But like, yeah, they are external too, which makes sense because if I lived in a wall with no windows and I couldn't talk to anyone, like I would, how do you find happiness there? Like, I guess you'd have to figure out with what you're given, but yeah.
Dude, we're getting all philosophical this week.
I'm always philosophical. My brain is literally that at all times. I have to like cool it sometimes because I'm
Yeah.
like, this could get so deep, you know? Like it
Yeah.
could get fucking crazy where I'm just like, this is like, I should
What
just
is
write
all
a book.
this?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. But no,
Oh,
it is
shit.
really interesting. And I want to like ask myself, what is happiness to me? Because in the times when you're feeling down, that is very helpful, like in my mind.
Yeah.
Like, what is happiness? Like, what do I need to do right now in this moment that'll make me feel happy? It could just be give someone a hug,
Yeah.
you know, or like rub my leg. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Paint my nails, like anything. But yeah, I don't know. If you have like, if you know, even it sounds really simple, but if you know what makes you happy and you move towards those things, then I think that you set yourself up for a really happy life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's just about observing more of yourself, like in each moment that you are navigating the world. And like, how do I feel right now? Like, honestly, or even just like maybe not even in the moment, but reflect on your day. What did I do today? And like, what was my like overall tone?
Right. And you have to go, like, life experience is seriously invaluable because all the shit that we've been through this past year really has set us up for a strong foundation.
Yeah, I'm feeling now more than ever that I am clear on what I'm headed towards and what will make me happy. And I feel less, I don't know. I think I used to like compare myself to what other people wanted in their life. Or like, for example, like we are so different.
Yes.
Even though we're so alike, we are so different. And I would be like, well, I don't know, like, why do I want to be in a relationship if like Madison's so happy alone? Like things like that. Not necessarily that was the case, but like that's a pretty general example. And I've just leaned into the fact that like, well, this is what makes me tick.
Totally.
And I can't feel weird about that. And I can't compare myself and hold myself to anyone else's standards.
Mm-hmm.
If this is what makes me happy, then I need to lean towards it.
Yeah. No, that's really good. And that was the guy's, I really should have got his name, but it's on my phone. But that was his whole thing at the end, was like, happiness is a one size fits one, not one size fits all. So I thought that was really cool and why I wanted to even chat about it.
Nice.
Yeah. And hopefully it prompts like some self-reflection in whoever's listening.
Yeah. And I mean, even after I give an answer like this, and for anyone who's listening who thinks of their own answer, it's hard because then you hear a different perspective and you're like, well, yeah, I mean, that applies to me too.
Absolutely. There's so many different avenues.
Right.
And also it's so dependent on how we're feeling in life right now. Like if we did this podcast in 3 weeks, I'm sure our answers would look a little bit different.
Okay, like I'm thinking of, okay, if I had just spent last weekend with all of my people and I felt like really, as you would say, nourished in that realm because it's so important to me is being around people that I love, then would my answer, it would still be like, yeah, would I feel fulfilled and not be craving it so it wouldn't be my first answer is what I'm saying.
Right.
Like right now I'm just fucking craving my people around me. And so my brain is kind of fixated on the fact that like they're far away right now. Like my parents are far from me. You're not in the house. Philip's gone. I'm like, I just want my people.
Yeah.
So
yeah, who even knows?
Maybe that's why my answer is so quick with that. But I think that I've always been that way. If I'm
I think so too.
Boiling it down further, like I've always just been.
Well, and that's also what the guy's point in the video was, is like knowing your values and what's important to you, which does contribute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I think like a lot of us can say like we can easily, like I was laughing to myself earlier because I was like, we can easily jump to what doesn't make us happy. Like those are such clear fucking answers.
I've got about 100 things I could list off right now.
Yes, absolutely. But figuring out what makes us happy, I feel like is a little bit more challenging just because we've been told like money makes you happy, a big house makes you happy, kids, a husband, you know? And so I feel like that is also why I am sometimes like in the search for happiness, is because there's so many things that I'm told will make me happy I don't have yet. So I'm trying to find it for myself. Like, what do I have right now that makes me happy while I'm working towards those other things? Yeah. Because once you get them, like a lot of times you're like, wow, this did not make me feel how I thought I'd feel. And
that's
isn't that funny?
That's a whole other conversation.
It is.
Holy
it's
smokes.
Relative for sure, but it's just so interesting.
Yeah.
So we're just on a journey, you know, all together.
Aren't we all? Yeah, I was going to say
doing drive-bys. Bring it full circle to the beginning of this episode.
Okay, so if you get a drive-by or you just recently had a drive-by, keep it cool. Get excited, but let it pass. Don't overthink it.
You don't need to grip onto that feeling.
No.
It's just not worth it. And trying to figure out someone's intentions without them actually sharing them with you, it's impossible.
I was going to say, it's a recipe for disaster. You're going to put words in your head that they haven't said.
Exactly. And I remember I got this advice from someone, and it's pretty straightforward and it's pretty common sense, but I needed to hear it, is that how do you know, I feel like I'm going to butcher this, but basically like how do you know someone's thinking something without them telling you? Like so many times we make assumptions about that. It's like, oh, I don't think that person likes me. Oh, did they tell you that? No. Oh, okay. You know?
My God.
But I do understand like through action. I don't know. It's just like overthinking that realm of like humans. We're so complex that it's just like, I don't even want to try to imagine what you're thinking about me right now. I'm going to move on to what's actually important. Right?
Yeah. I just like got mad over the fact that we as people make assumptions about others and what they're thinking and what their intentions are.
Dude, we've hit on 2 of the pillars of the 4 agreements book. Don't make assumptions. Don't take things personally.
What are the other 2?
Okay, I literally never remember. I've read the book. Hold on.
Okay, no, I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to look it up to confirm.
It's something about like, don't make assumptions. Don't take things personally. It's something about like living by your word. Like that's one. It's something along those lines. And
oh, you're so close.
Oh my
3
God.
out of 4.
I'm literally rereading this book. I read it once a year and I actually forget them. How sad.
This is a perfect place to end.
Yes.
Ready? Do you want me to fill you in or you want to guess it?
Okay,
I'm going to read the first 3.
Okay.
Which you've already shared.
Okay.
So you've gotten 3 and maybe the 4th one will click. Be impeccable with your word.
Yes.
Which is speak with integrity, say only what you mean, avoid using words to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word to offer love. Never use it to cause fear or pain in another or yourself.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a result of their own dream or perception of their rules. We all make rules about how things should be, but when you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. Okay. Don't make assumptions. Find the quiet courage to ask questions and express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. With just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. I can't agree more. The last one.
Okay, you gotta say it.
Always do your best.
Damn, dude.
Would you have guessed it? I don't know.
I don't think I would have, but the amount of times we say that is ridiculous.
Okay.
Because I read this book every year.
I'm going to fucking print this on my forehead. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstance, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. God bless.
Yes. Yes, that book is quite incredible.
When they break it down so simply of like these 4 things, that's all you need to live by. It's really such a great tool.
Yes, it is.
Do you feel like it's changed your life?
That book?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's changed my life, but it's definitely changed my point of view on how I live.
What a dramatic way of wording it. Has it changed your life?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. There's like so many things maybe that have changed my life, but it's definitely sprinkled in there, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that that's an awesome place to end. I feel great about that episode.
I'm glad. I'm so sorry, Rosie. The cord hit her on the face and it woke her up.
Yeah, I think that was great. Like, I am happy that we got to talk that out, honestly, because it's really prompted a lot of conversation in my head.
Yeah, me too. Should we go do drive-bys on people right now?
Dude, just start DMing a bunch of people.
It's like, hey, I miss you.
Holy shit. I wonder what that would be a really fun experiment, honestly.
I love a social experiment.
We'll keep you updated. We're going to record again this week and obviously post it for next week because I'll be out of town. It's 4th of July if you live in America. If you live in a place with cars.
If you live in a place with cars.
All right. Have an awesome rest of your week, guys.
Yeah. Love you,
Thanks
Madison.
for listening.
Love you, Cowboys.
Too. Talk to you guys soon.
Okay, bye.